The movie opens in an eerie antique shop, where a terrified man named Petey Shelburne enters with a drum-playing monkey doll. He has blood on his clothes, but when the shopkeeper asks about it, Petey claims it's not his blood. He states that he has come to return the monkey doll, but the shopkeeper points out a sign that says no returns on children's toys. Petey explains that it's not a toy, and that something terrible happens when it bangs its drum. And then suddenly, the monkey activates and begins playing its drum, terrifying both of them. It soon stops, and nothing happens for a few seconds. But then, a nearby mouse bites through a wire.
I don't feel especially fucked to have.
The gun fires and impales the shopkeeper. The harpoon then retracts, and his intestines are gruesomely pulled out. A terrified Petey then grabs a flamethrower and desperately tries to burn the cursed doll. In the next scene, we meet twin brothers, Bill and Hal, who clearly don't have a good relationship. Hal narrates that Bill is the older brother by 3 minutes, so he constantly belittles and bullies him at every opportunity. They live with their single mother, Lois, since their dad abandoned them a long time ago for an unknown reason. One day, the boys begin digging through their dad's possessions, and we see Petey's uniform, implying that he's their dad. They also find a mysterious box, which has the same cursed monkey doll. Hal notices a note instructing them to turn on the key and see what happens, so Bill wastes no time in turning the key. This causes the monkey to grin creepily and raise the drumstick, but it doesn't strike the drum. The next day, Mom sends them out with a nanny to eat at a restaurant, as she has a date that night. But Hal notices the creepy monkey already sitting in the back seat of the car. The trio soon arrives at a hibachi restaurant, where the chef starts preparing a meal right in front of them, exciting the boys. Outside, we notice that the monkey has moved from the back seat to the front seat. Surprisingly, it activates and begins to play its drum, before abruptly stopping. Meanwhile, inside the restaurant, the cook is swinging his knife, but he accidentally strikes Annie. Her head is decapitated, leaving everyone horrified. The scene then cuts to the nanny's funeral, and adult Hal narrates that this incident made him and his brother grow more apart. Afterward, their mom tries to make them understand that this is life, and at any moment, everything can go to hell. Everyone will die sooner or later. To lift the mood, the three return home and begin dancing. Hal then explains that, despite the tragedy, it was the happiest day of his life. Days later, Hal is in class when he unexpectedly notices the monkey in his backpack. His classmates notice it as well and complain to the teacher that Hal is doing naughty things with his monkey. Later during gym class, a group of bullies, led by Bill, begin smashing bananas at Hal and ridiculing him. However, when a furious Hal returns home, he finds the monkey unexpectedly in his bed. He accuses the doll of causing all of this and declares that he hates his brother Bill. Overcome with anger, he wishes Bill were dead, and turns the key of the doll. At the same time, Bill arrives home, as the monkey starts pounding its drum. Bill then finds his mom baking in the kitchen, but blood unexpectedly gushes from her face, before she collapses dead on the floor. Later, adult Hal narrates that the doctor called it a boomerang aneurysm, a phenomenon that occurs in 1 out of 44 million people. But Hal knows the truth, it is because of the cursed monkey, who kills anyone it wants. It also doesn't take requests. After Lois's funeral, the kids are adopted by their Aunt Ida and Uncle Chip, who try to cheer them up. That night, after some thought, Hal decides he must get rid of the doll. He begins butchering it and is horrified to see blood oozing out of it. But Hal doesn't stop, he continues slashing at it, relentlessly breaking it into pieces. He finally shoves the remains into a garbage bag and ensures every piece is hauled away by the garbage truck. The next day, Uncle Chip and Aunt Ida take the boys to their new house, which is far away. But that night, Bill notices something outside the window and goes to investigate. Here, he is astounded to discover that the creepy monkey has somehow made its way there. Bill accuses Hal of bringing it, but the latter denies it and explains how he chopped it into pieces. He states that the doll is cursed and is responsible for their nanny's and mother's deaths. Upon hearing this, Bill wonders if the curse kills the person who turns the key, and perhaps their mother did just that. He decides turns the key, despite Hal warning him against doing so. As a result, they lose their uncle, who was out hunting in the woods. He was trampled by 67 horses while he was in his sleeping bag. Following the incident, the twins finally realize the monkey is behind all these deaths. But knowing they can't destroy it so easily, they decide to contain it. They bind it tightly in its box and hurl it into an abandoned well, praying to leave the nightmare behind once and for all. The scene then cuts to 25 years later, where Aunt Ida is sleeping peacefully in bed, right when she is startled awake by strange noises. She grabs a gun to investigate and discovers nothing suspicious downstairs. But as she returns upstairs, the stairs collapse. This causes several hooks to sink into her face, causing excruciating pain, so Ida painfully pulls out the hooks. She then cleans her wounds with alcohol, right when a strong gas odor fills the air. And so, she inspects the kitchen. And then this happens. She rushes out of the house, only to be impaled with the sharp end of a for sale sign. Elsewhere, we see an adult Hal, who works at a supermarket. He approaches his boss and requests permission to leave early, explaining that this is the only week of the year he gets to see his son. Hearing this, his boss suggests that his ex-wife must be a terrible person, but Hal clarifies that it was his choice to keep things this way. Afterward, Hal goes to pick up his son, where he meets his ex-wife and her new boyfriend, Ted. They coldly accuse him of never being present for their son, Petey. So, Ted has decided to legally adopt him, and Hal won't ever get to meet his son. Hal's rage boils over as he refuses to accept it, resulting in a heated exchange. Soon, they are interrupted by the arrival of Petey. On the other hand, a boy named Ricky arrives at a house where a garage sale is taking place. He soon comes across a creepy monkey doll, and the moment he touches it, visions of his father flood his mind. Later, Ricky shows the doll to his mom, saying it reminds him of his dad. It turns out that Ricky is desperately searching for his father, who vanished without a trace years ago. We also learn that Ricky was hired by a mysterious man, who never leaves his house to find the monkey doll. Elsewhere, Hal and Petey stay in a motel, where it's clear that they don't know each other very well. The boy is working on a family tree project, and asks about Hal's family. But Hal lies, claiming he is an only child, and becomes uncomfortable when the conversation turns to his late mother. Around midnight, Hal suddenly receives a call from Bill, whom he hasn't seen in 10 years, and hasn't spoken to in nearly 5. Hal exits the room to take the call, and Bill informs him of Aunt Ida's death. He instructs Hal to go to her house, and ensure the monkey isn't there. But this annoys Hal because he doesn't want to miss out on spending time with Petey. Just then, Hal notices a woman about to swim in the pool, while we see a broken compressor on the roof about to fall, potentially electrocuting the pool water. And then this happens.
Wait!
Realizing the monkey has returned, Hal rushes to wake up Petey, and insists they have to leave immediately. They scramble into the car, and Hal explains that Aunt Ida has died, so he needs to go to her house to handle her affairs. The next morning, they arrive at Aunt Ida's house, where a realtor named Barbara greets them. She explains that Hal's brother had said they would be coming, and the revelation hits Petey hard as he learns that his dad had lied about having a brother. Next, Barbara takes them inside the house, and explains that ever since Aunt Ida died, things have been spiraling out of control in town. Several people have been dying every day in horrific accidents, and we can see how tragic and unique their deaths are. Soon, Barbara opens a stuck closet door, and Hal senses that something is about to happen. And the thing happens anyway. Shortly after, the cops arrive, and a female officer questions Hal about the incident. She warns him not to leave town until the case is solved. Later, we see paramedics removing Barbara's remains from the house, while a group of cheerleaders and students are seen cheering for some reason. Meanwhile, Hal is inside the house, desperately searching for the monkey, but to no avail. Frustrated, he goes through the phone directory for the town, and stumbles upon a number listed under Mrs. Monkey. He dials it, only to hear Bill's voice on the other end. Bill explains in his voicemail that if anyone calls in response to his ad, he has already found his beloved toy monkey, and doesn't need to hire anyone. Here, Hal finally realizes that his brother is responsible for the massacre, and deliberately brought him here. The scene then cuts to a flashback 25 years ago, from Bill's perspective. He had realized that it was Hal who had turned the key, leading to their mother's death. After they had dumped the monkey in the well, Bill went back to get it once more to seek revenge on his brother. But to his shock, the doll was no longer there, and only the key was left. Still, he was confident that it would return one day, and he patiently waited. One day, an adult Bill discovered a fortune cookie with the message, "Turn the key and see what happens." He began to see the cursed monkey everywhere after that, which messed with his mind. Desperate, he then placed an advertisement in the newspaper, looking to find the monkey doll that played the drums. In the present, Bill turns the monkey's key, hoping it will finally kill the right person, implying his brother. But the doll takes a twisted turn, and causes the death of Hal's boss instead, who chokes violently on his damn cigar. At this moment, Ricky arrives outside Bill's house, and nervously mentions that he saw Bill's brother, who looks just like him. He also claims he wants to return the $15 he was paid, hoping to get the monkey doll back. Ricky explains that the doll reminds him of his father, but an annoyed Bill rudely dismisses him and orders him to leave. Furious, Ricky storms back home, and grabs his father's police uniform. He then picks up a gun, and decides to use it to get the doll back. Elsewhere, Petey and Hal arrive at a motel, where the latter angrily dials his brother's number. Hal claims he is aware that Bill already has the monkey, so Bill demands that Hal bring Petey to him so he can turn the key. Bill suspects whoever winds its key is immune to being the next victim, and tells Hal that he will allow Petey to win the key to keep him safe. Otherwise, Bill will keep mercilessly winding it until Hal is killed, no matter who else dies in the town as a result. As the situation starts to get worse, Hal decides to drop Petey off at his mom's, but it only leads to an argument. Petey accuses his dad of not caring about him, while Hal tries to explain that he has a lot of bad things going on, and doesn't want to pass them on to his son. Just then, there's a loud knock on the door. It turns out to be Ricky, who is pretending to be a cop, and he immediately points a gun at them, demanding that they come with him. Not long after, they arrive in front of Bill's house, where Ricky forces Petey to go inside, and bring the monkey doll for him. Ricky threatens to shoot them both if they do not comply, so Hal begs Petey not to turn the key, no matter what happens. Petey then enters the house through the back door, and comes across a series of booby traps. However, he doesn't fall for any of them, and skillfully manages to save himself. Outside, Hal begins questioning Ricky, who finally admits that he's not a cop. Suddenly, both of them notice a massive wasp nest directly in front of them, sending shivers down their spines. Elsewhere, Petey meets up with his uncle Bill, who is eerily talking to the monkey. Bill shows him the doll, explaining that it was his favorite toy during childhood. He claims that it's not working anymore, and begs Petey to fix it by turning the keys. Petey hesitates for a moment, but the pressure from his uncle is too much to resist. He eventually ignores his father's warning and turns the key. As a result, the monkey jolts to life and starts to play the drum horrifyingly. At the same time, the wasp nest outside begins lowering. Unfortunately, Ricky accidentally fires at the nest. And then this happens. The wasps immediately enter Ricky's mouth, leading to a violent death. A terrified Hal calls out for his son, and as Bill hears his brother's voice, he realizes that his plan has failed once again. In a fit of rage, Bill grabs the monkey, and forces it to play the drum to kill Hal. But the creepy doll suddenly overpowers him and throws him far away. At this moment, Hal enters through the back door and reunites with Petey. Soon, Bill notices the doll has activated again, playing the drum at an insane, frantic speed. When the music finally stops, Bill looks outside, and is horrified to see that the monkey's curse has spread across the town, causing numerous accidents and killing people en masse. Up next, the roof above him collapses, and dead bodies are thrown through the wreckage. Hal also arrives, and is furious at what his brother has done. But Bill, overcome with regret, confesses that he only wanted Hal to pay for what happened to their mother. He accuses him of being responsible for her death, and even knows that Hal intended to kill him instead. Upon hearing this, Hal becomes emotional, insisting that she was his mother too, and that he never meant for any of it to happen. He apologizes, and says they should have been there for each other during difficult times. But it is still not too late to repair their relationship. Bill realizes Hal has a point, and apologizes with a heavy heart. And so, the brothers finally reconcile and mend their long-strained relationship. Hal then invites Bill to join him and Petey on a road trip, which the latter excitedly agrees to. But just as a glimmer of hope settles in, the monkey's arm suddenly strikes the drum one last time, triggering a hidden booby trap, which shoots a bowling ball toward Bill's head, killing him instantly. The next morning, the father and son set off on their road trip. As they drive out of town, they see the horrific aftermath of the monkey's rampage, charred ruins, mangled bodies, and a world torn apart overnight. Determined to break the cycle, they decide to keep the monkey close, and ensure that no one ever turns the key again. They also encounter an old man with ashes flickering off his back, riding a horse. Before the film ends, a bus full of cheerleaders passes by, resulting in another one of the 100 worst ways to die. Thus, we reach the end of this movie. Thanks for watching. If you like the movie, support us. Don't forget to subscribe for more movie recaps. See you in the next movie. Goodbye.